Okay, this is the snowball effect of things that happened after Liam was born. We went home on the 28th, 27th, 28th, this Saturday. He was born on Thursday. We went home on Saturday. And I was sore from the C-section, but I was excited to be at home and be a new mommy because, I'd waited so long for this, and I was just very... Sorry, I had to check on him. I was just so happy to be home and be a family and, be a mom. And Riley was being amazing at helping me take care of him because after a C-section it's really hard to get around and do everything. While I was at the hospital, before we left, I noticed that I had been running a low-grade fever, but the staff and nurses did not seem very concerned, so I wasn't concerned. And to them, they don't consider it a fever until it is 100.4 or more. Anything below 100.4 is, expected, I guess, after surgery. So I wasn't concerned. When we got home, I kept having hot flashes and then cold chills. Well, I didn't take my temperature. I just chalked it up to being, hormone fluctuation, hormone changes. I thought I was just going through the hormonal changes that you go through after having a baby. Sorry, I have to plug the computer in before it dies. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, I just thought it was hormonal changes after the baby. After the third day of being home, I had to go to school to let them know everything that had happened, that I had to be induced, and blah blah blah, and tell them that I was, in labor for like 26 hours, and that it ended in an emergency C-section, and blah 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 blah. And they gave me my work to do, everything that I had missed. And while I was there, I started feeling really bad, like feverish bad. And I had kind of felt feverish the 3 days that I'd been home, but I thought, it was just hormones. So I asked my friend to take my temperature. And I'm thinking, maybe it's just going to be a low-grade temp. Don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. He took my temperature, and it was 103.2. And I was like, oh, that's bad. So, after I finished getting all my stuff from my teacher, I told Riley what my temp was, and he's like, we need to go to the ER now. And I was like, no, we can wait, just wait. And he's like, no, we're gonna go now. So we went home, dropped the baby off. I picked up the thermometer so that I could take my temperature periodically while we were driving to the hospital, and it was just climbing. It wasn't getting any better. It got up to 103.5, and then 104, and the hospital took they triaged me. They took 40 minutes to get me to the back. They gave me Tylenol while I waited, and the Tylenol didn't really do anything. And it took my fever away a little bit, but it didn't really do much of anything else. So they started me on IVs. They gave me, because I had just had this C-section. Hold on 1 second, my baby's crying. bad mood. So no? Okay. They started me on, they took blood, and they started doing all these tests, and they put me on an IV drip of, saline and whatever. And they automatically started giving me antibiotics. I don't know why, but they did. They gave me a chest x-ray, a flu screen, and just all types of tests. And my white blood cell count came back at like 25. So there was definitely an infection. And I don't know what they were waiting on. I don't remember much, but they kept running tests, and the doctor came in there and she's like, "You have a fluid pocket in your abdomen from what it shows on the x-ray." She goes, "I don't know if it's an infection. I don't know if it's just fluid from the C-section, old blood, what it is, but we were trying to call your doctor," which later I found out they never called my doctor. When my doctor finally saw me later on, she's like, "They never called me." So they lied, they never called my doctor. They called somebody else who's not my doctor, and they never answered them. So but as I lay in the ER waiting for them to call my doctor and hear from her, out of nowhere I had the worst stabbing pains in my stomach. The only way I can describe it is somebody was stabbing me with a knife over and over and over and over again in my abdomen, just out of nowhere. I was in excruciating pain, and I was wiggling around, writhing in pain, begging Riley to make it stop. And the nurse came in there like he didn't believe me, and Riley was like, "Please do something, she's hurting." And at first he didn't want to do anything, and then he gave me, I guess, a shot of morphine, and it didn't do anything. It like took a little bit of the edge off that pain, but I was still wiggling in pain for like 30 minutes until, like, I guess the morphine made me go to sleep, and then I would wake up because it was still hurting. So for an hour I was yelling and screaming in the emergency room in pain. And then finally they transferred me to a room on the surgical ward. While I was there the first night, I'm flying away. While I was there the first night, I guess they just kept giving me morphine for pain. I don't remember much of anything. But all I know is I was in pain. My stomach was hurting so bad. I'm gonna stop this and start part 4. And so I can finish telling you the story. This is gonna be really long, so hope you guys don't mind.